cheats.
But you're one of the best Lucio players that I have ever seen.
No, that's just the title my fans had given me. It was too much to live up to the pressure. Just really got to me.
Understanding that his problems were once my own, I asked him for his assistance. I let him know that I had come to these very mountains to better myself and come back to my Twitch chat, a reformed Twitch streamer. I could tell there was a moment where he had to ponder whether or not to let me in on a secret to de-tilting. I pleaded with him. This was very important to me and I couldn't let Twitch chat down. After contemplating it for some time, he finally spoke.
Alright, I will share with you my secret. Better yet, I will show you the way.
We started hiking up the northern pass. I asked him multiple questions on what he has been up to and where he has been. All that followed after every inquisition was silence. At about halfway through our trek, he breaks the silence, telling me about a monastery in the valley ahead. He informed me of a place that satisfies a gamer's tilt and brings them toward a more natural state of oneness with the world. I rolled my eyes at the thought of a bunch of gamers praying to get good. Seemingly sensing that, he lets me know that everyone there gives up something to regain their oneness. And most of the time that something is Overwatch.
It makes sense when you think about it. Whatever is making you mad, leave it to the wayside, and move forward stronger, but many people don't think about that. Most just try to push forward through the tilt, but in the end it's just like pushing against an immovable wall.
I give some thought to what Stanky had said as we walk forward on the rest of our journey, but it wasn't long until we reached our destination. I was met with the sight of large alabaster stone walls and terracotta tiled rooftops. It's massive, I thought to myself. In a way it kind of reminded me of the maps from Nepal in Overwatch I often schooled noobs on. As we walked through the large wooden gates, I am engulfed in a sea of people dressed in monk-like robes. Stanky informs me that we were to meet the abbot, the leader of the monastery. He led me to a towering staircase leading up to a small pagoda on the hilltop, and we ascended. Once we arrived at the pinnacle of the hill and entered the pagoda, I was greeted by the sight of a man in the same monk-like attire with his back to me.
Hello, Tyffee. We have been expecting you.
His voice echoed off of the walls as he turns around to greet me.
My name is Jeff from the Overwatch team, but people here just call me Jeff.
Baffled, all I can let out is a coy, "Nice to meet you, sir."
I understand you're here to rid yourself of your saltiness. You've come to the right place.
Yes, Stanky brought me. What is this place? What goes on here?
This is my monastery. We all strive to tilt here. Here we give up Overwatch in search of a oneness within us, and we strive to make ourselves stronger through the trials of competitive Overwatch, as well as other games.
But you made Overwatch. Well, you and the Overwatch team, don't they need to play it more than anyone else?
In order to keep our sanity, we try our best to not play it anymore. Whenever pushing out changes, we normally just make guesses at what will work and throw it into live play.
But maintaining and properly balancing your game should lower tilt levels significantly. I don't understand, I said with a slight tinge of resentment.
All this will be clear to you soon. It seems you haven't eaten in some time. Please, before you learn more about us, let us fill your belly. Stanky will take you to the mess hall.
More confused than when I had started my journey, I follow Stanky to the mess hall. As we travel there, we pass by many people taking place in various activities. People doing laundry and meditating. There were monks rubbing stones on granite countertops seemingly for no reason at all. Stanky interjects my confusion to let me know that no one is here forever. Not unless they choose to be. So while people are here, they practice their mouse movements on carved stone mice to increase their arm strength and precision. He told me how there are numerous activities that they took part in daily, even including a friendly competitive game of capture the flag, but Stanky told me it's only because Jeff enjoys the idea of it so much. Lastly, we passed by a group of noisy teenagers. There was a woman sitting on a rice mat, eyes closed, as several other monks yelled slurs and insults. Stanky, seeing my bewilderment, he explains to me that she was training to gain resistance to those who would otherwise tilt her in the normal gaming world. After some time she stood up, seemingly unfazed, and walked past us to a building adjacent, and disappeared behind a cloth door. After filling my stomach with gamer grub, Stanky and I take place in afternoon meditation. As the sun set, many monks retired to the dormitory rooms just as we did. The rooms were barely furnished with nothing but what was necessary. It is a stark contrast from my mansion back in Memphis, but I wasn't bothered by it. It was almost a welcome change. The entire monastery had an air of calmness around it that I never experienced before. I could see myself staying in this place for a while, maybe even forever. Day 4. The next day, I follow Stanky's lead in completing tasks around the monastery. I met a new person every time I took a step. I had met the fasting coach, Luke, and the bladesmith, Cole, and even the monastery's fisherman, Sean. Everyone was very relaxed and happy here. I often found myself lost in conversations with some of them. After some time helping Cole with his smithing, he asked me to get a few tools from the shed on the other side of the monastery. With my new upbeat attitude, I was more than happy to assist. I leave to get the tools and I once again found myself walking through a sea of people, but this time I didn't feel like a stranger. Just the thought of it made my heart skip a beat out of happiness. As I walked, I saw the room that the woman the day prior had walked into after resisting the hateful words around her. My curiosity piqued, and I walked into the building after pulling back the cloth door. I was greeted by a long hallway with many doors. This building seemed a lot more modern than the rest. As I walked down the hallway, each door was labeled with letters and numbers much like a dormitorium. The setting sun shining dimly through the windows blinded me with every other step. My inquisitive gamer brain couldn't resist, and I peeked into one of the rooms and stepped inside. The room was dark and it took a second for my eyes to adjust to the otherwise murky and drab room. As my eyes adjusted, I recognized rows of beds in front of me. Feeling around me, I find a light switch and lever it into the on position. Bright white lights blinded me again to the view of a flat white room. As my eyes adjusted again, what laid before me was hard to take in. Rows upon rows of hospital beds occupied by the monks I had met throughout my stay. Tubing running from one to the other, siphoning what looked like their blood from their very bodies. I felt my breath shorten. What is going on here? I thought to myself as my legs became weak below me.
You're not supposed to be in here.
I heard the familiar voice just behind me. Jeff, what the hell is going on here?
Since you won't be a problem for much longer, I'll explain it to you. You see, this monastery is here to relieve people of their salt. But nothing disappears, it all has to go somewhere. So I take it. I mean, it would be a shame for it to go to waste. Everything you see around you in the monastery is powered by the salt, and there is plenty left over. So I ship it off to Overwatch's sister company.
But why?
Oh, you didn't know? Blizzard is soon to become the world's leading trader in salt goods. I'll be rich in no time.
As he says this, his robes fall off the shoulder, revealing a robotic torso with the phrase etched across its chest. It read, "Mess with Jeff, wrestle with death." Knowing I was no match for Jeff, I quickly darted past him into the hallway, feet slipping on the tile floor. Heart racing, I burst through the cloth door and pushed through the crowd. As I swam through the evening bustle of monks, I hear Jeff's voice loud and clear as he walks out the same cloth door.
Detain Tyffee at all costs. He is a danger to our way of life.
In a matter of moments, I could feel hundreds of eyes on me. Dipping in and out of the crowd, I made my way for the wooden doors I had entered through, not but a day ago. I could hear the crowd behind me stomping closer with every moment. Part of me knew this was going to be the end. I needed to get back to the cabin. I ran fast, the night air choking my tired, warm lungs. I feel a stinging in my arm like an ember landed on it. Looking around me, it was just that. The night air was full of small glowing sparks all around me. A fire? As I drew closer and closer to the cabin, I was met with a dense smoke and the side of the family cabin lit ablaze. Recalling back, I remember Deadshot telling me about the potential for his laptop to overheat, and I cursed myself for ever opening it. But there was no time for self-deprecation. With a horde of men and women running for me up from the valley, and a burning cabin ahead, I was left with no choice, and I turned off the path and darted in deeper to the woods to wait out the night.
These are the only bits of information we have on the condition of Tyffee. As always, we will keep in touch on any discoveries made on his whereabouts. May God have mercy on his soul.